over 60 million people that have been forced from their homes due to violence and oppression around the world. These people are often left without their families, without any basis of support, and we usually generalize this population as refugees. If these refugees are within the lucky half of 1% of their population that gets resettled permanently into another country, they're subject to not knowing the language or the culture or anyone outside of their own family. One of the places that they may end up is right here in our home of Dayton, Ohio.
Now, last year, Spencer and I created a program that connects teenage refugees who are new to the country with native-born teenagers. It was based on an art project which focused on each person's idea of home. This, along with the occasional hike or cookout or soccer game, let us spend time with these people and get to know them, and form relationships that will last a lifetime, all while making a program to help advocate for the population through art.
Through this program, I met my friend Eric. Eric was born in a refugee camp, and he lived there his entire life. Eric, if you don't know anything about refugee camps, they're often unsanitary, overpopulated, and understaffed places. They're not ideal places to be, and many of the people in our program grew up in refugee camps. Now, this might sound terrible, but Eric is statistically lucky because on average, it takes 20 years to even get into a refugee camp. And once you're there, it can take, on average, another 8 years to be resettled into another country.
The challenges faced by Eric, the rest of the kids in our program, and their families are not unique stories. These stories could be told time and time again by families all over the country and the world. Now, we have refugees in our program from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Eritrea, Myanmar, and a couple other places. And while it's clear that Spencer and I come from drastically different backgrounds from these kids, our time with the program and with these refugees has helped us to see it differently.
And through our artwork, we have established a lot of people's idea of home. We brought together kids from drastically different backgrounds to express what makes themselves unique and what their idea of home is.
My partner for this project was my friend my friend Steve. And to do this artwork, we would take a bunch of pictures from the internet, whether it's flags or food or other miscellaneous items. We'd find what makes us feel most at home, and we glue them onto our cardboard. Now, if you were to look at me and Steve's piece of artwork, you would see a bunch of miscellaneous items strewn about the cardboard. But if you look closely, you will see two identical cutouts of tater tots pasted proudly on the piece. This was not planned, was not discussed, and was not discovered until after we'd already glued them on there. You'll also see on ours, as well as most others, the great unifier, soccer, the sport that crosses all boundaries.
And just like Noah, I had a partner for this art project, and his name was Eric, and he's who I talked about earlier. Eric and I had a lot in common, like Steve and Noah, but the thing that surprised me the most, and still makes me smile to this day, is the fact that before I even had a chance to put anything on this poster, Eric had already put a picture of LeBron James's face onto the poster. Now, LeBron James is someone who a lot of Ohioans identify with, someone who defines our home. And Eric, who was born on another continent in a refugee camp, identifies LeBron James as his home, just like many of us and I do.
Now, LeBron James and tater tots and soccer may seem irrelevant, but these similarities persist despite thousands of miles between our places of birth, and that shows just how connected we really are. While the things on the surface, like where we were born, what cultures we grew up around, may be different, when you peel the layers away and the deeper you get, we're really not that different at all.
And while LeBron James might not seem like it's that close to the core, in reality it is, because Eric and I find LeBron James and the Cavs as part of our home, and you can't get much closer to the core than your home. And despite all of our superficial differences as humans, we all crave this idea of home.
This desire to have a home is what Spencer and I have found is at the heart of all people. Rich or poor, man or woman, black or white. Everyone craves a place to feel welcomed, people who understand them, in a place they can truly call their home.
And through our group, we also like to work for advocacy because we believe that talking about the issue is just as important as working with the refugees. And if you've even remotely paid attention to the political climate in the current events of the past couple of years, you know that this issue is extremely relevant. And with all of the hatred and the widespread distrust of the refugee population, a little bit of acceptance and a little bit of kindness can go a long way. And this is true not just with the issue of refugees, but with many of the issues that plague our country and our world. And the steps to solve many of these problems are just through simple acts of kindness.
These acts of kindness aren't hard either. Spencer and I did not create a million-man march, and setting up a couple of soccer games or a cookout or an art project for a group of people does not take a rocket scientist. It only takes the amount of time it takes to send a couple of text messages or make a couple of phone calls. But it could make all the difference in the world for someone who is struggling to feel welcomed in their new home, who feels marginalized, or who just feels lonely. Well, we're all human, and the people in our program crave a home and a community to be a part of, just like everybody else here.
And we knew that we were making an impact on these people when our get-togethers, that were only supposed to last until 9, lasted until midnight. And this happened more than once. The tangible buzz of the joy and the excitement that was present at these gatherings showed that we were giving them a home.
Now, our initial intentions with this program were not all quite as noble as you may think. As seniors in high school, we're required to do a social justice project that had some kind of real-world implementation. And we thought, hey, this would be great for that. And while we certainly did love the idea of giving back to the community and doing something good, it was also a way to fulfill this requirement and maybe put something good in our resume. We had our own intentions, as anybody would.
But as the blessings of our program started to come out, we started to feel good for doing it. And we started to see that the community and the home that we had started and become part of. And if we had a chance to do this over again, without any thought of a senior project or any resume, we would do it again in a heartbeat.
Our involvement in this program has helped to open our minds and our hearts in a way we could not imagine. More than just learning about the issue of refugees, we have come to know the people behind the statistics. And the home that we have helped to build for them has become a home for us as well. Because in the end, even those who are most different from us, at their core, just crave a home in a community.
And in the end, they are just like us. Thank you.